Alright, just wanted to make a quick video or review, I guess, of the 2014 Ninja Turtle movie. Before I go ahead and do this, I will probably have uploaded the review. I may or may not. I don't know how I'm going to do it exactly. I don't know if it'd be right to do it this way, but recently after I saw this movie, I went to Walmart and I ended up going through some of the Blu-rays they had in the bargain bin, and I did find the 2007 movie on Blu-ray, and I'd seen it on DVD and it was like $5, and I thought about getting that, and then I seen the Blu-ray for $8, and I was gonna get that, and as you guys know, I haven't reviewed that one yet, so I do plan on watching it and then reviewing it, but I don't know if this will go up first or that. Now, I'm recording this on Saturday. I did end up going to go see it Friday night at 7:30, the 2014 Ninja Turtles. I went and saw that, and then after that, I went and bought the 2007 movie. So again, I'll watch it, and I'll probably review it. Probably upload it after this or before this, but regardless, as of right now that I'm doing this video, I've still yet to see it. I've got it in my Blu-ray player right now, my PS3, and I'm gonna watch it after I'm done doing this video, because I really don't want to get this mixed up with the new movie, get anything mixed up or anything. Just want to talk about it while it's still somewhat fresh in my mind. Last night, after I got done from the movie, I went to my grandma's house and visited her and stayed over there to visit for part of the day today. And then I went to a buddy of mine's house. We watched another movie, and then I came home and pretty much talked on Skype and did other things. So it has been over a day since I've seen the movie, but I still remember it pretty well. That's why I want to do the video now. I know 2 minutes in, I haven't even talked about it yet. So if you haven't seen my really long Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video about the movie, again, optionally you can watch it. If you're some hardcore fanboy that's just doesn't like this movie, I don't know why you're on the video to begin with. And, you know, especially for people calling these people names over this movie, you know, it's getting ridiculous. It really is. Saying that they're not real fans, all this other stuff. You know, that's why I disabled ratings and comments on that video, and that's why I'm going to disable ratings and comments on this video. If you have any additional input, hey, you can message me over it. You know, if you want to give your thoughts, or, you know, go to the fan page and write a comment, you know, or something. You know, find a way to write me if you want to put your additional comments in. But, again, if you didn't watch that previous video, basically that was my pre-thoughts video. I went into it saying, you know, talking about all the news, because before that I really didn't have much of an interest in this movie. I really didn't know if I was going to see it. After I saw the trailer, I thought it looked entertaining, and I was going to go give it a chance. Yesterday, I went to see the show. I went to see it at 7:30. They had a 4 o'clock show. I wasn't able to catch that because I had received a check from work, and I thought, oh, I have to cash that first so I can have some money in my pocket to, you know, go up here, because I didn't think my check was direct deposited. Went out to the bank and found out it was direct deposited, and I just didn't get an email about it. So that ruined that to get me going in at 4 o'clock. Because I really didn't want to be around a bunch of little kids, because I knew at the 7:30 show that's what it was going to be. Unfortunately, because I'd been up since 5:30 that day from going to work, I couldn't go to the 10:30 showing because that would be 2 hours, and I was afraid I was going to fall asleep. You know, not because of the movie, but because I'd literally have been tired. So I decided to just go to the 7:30 show. I said I wanted to go see it. I didn't have to work for Saturday, which was nice. So I went ahead and seen it. 7:30, got there in the nick of time. Plenty of seats were filled. There really were. You know, I didn't have trouble getting a seat, but the seats were filled, is what I'm saying. So, like, when I picked a seat, luckily there was a couple in the front row, and it had like 6 or 8 chairs between each other, so I wasn't going to sit in somebody's spot or whatever, and I didn't have to sit next to any little kids exactly. They were about 3 or 4 chairs down, but they were really annoying. I really didn't want to go to the show at that time, and I figured that was going to ruin my experience, but it didn't. I just tried not to pay attention to the little kids talking about Michelangelo and all this other crap, and I just wanted to watch the movie. And I watched it. Again, like I said, when I went into this movie, I did not have any hate towards it. I did not care for the look of the turtles before I went in to see it, but I kind of got over it. Again, I still think they should look like the old style, but it's not something that kills the movie for me. Splinter, I'm really not a fan of his look regardless. I didn't like Splinter's look. It didn't look as ridiculous as I thought, but I still didn't care for his look. I would have rather they gave him more of a rat face with no hair, no mustache, no nothing. So I didn't really care for that. But everything else was tolerable. It was watchable. So the movie starts off, and I probably won't get into spoilers. Just take it with a grain of salt and take it with precautions, because I might spoil something. But I'm going to try not to. So, I went to see the movie. Starts off, April O'Neil's trying to get a story on the Foot Clan. She can't get anybody to believe her or anyone to really give her much information. She just happens to be, I think, walking or riding her bike or something. And then all of a sudden there's a commotion going on. And she sees the Foot, doing stuff. And then there's this thing that comes out in the shadows and attacks these guys. And she snaps a picture of it on her phone. And it's obviously a Ninja Turtle. Then later on, she takes it to her news area, Channel 6 News, where Whoopi Goldberg works. And Whoopi Goldberg, a lot of people are hating on that, saying, oh, Whoopi Goldberg is in the movie and it's going to ruin the movie. Whoopi Goldberg had like 2 lines. She really was not in the movie hardly at all. She was just like, explain the story, and then the other thing said, is there anything else I need to know about? The one you've seen probably on TV or something. And that's it. Whoopi Goldberg, other than that, is not in it. Abby Elliott, who I think played April's roommate, she was also in the movie, but she was like Whoopi Goldberg. She was just kind of there for maybe a couple lines and then no more. You had Will Arnett, which some people didn't care for. I wasn't the biggest fan of the guy, but, he was just okay. He didn't really bother me that much, but I didn't think he was like, ha, so funny. I just really didn't think anything of it. But, all that stuff happens, and eventually, obviously, she meets the Turtles. There's also another character in this movie, Eric Sachs, who worked with April's dad, doing a project creating the Ninja Turtles, and you actually find out that the Ninja Turtles were pets. They were her dad's and Eric Sachs's lab experiments that they were going to do, but they were kind of like her pets, I guess. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that origin story, and then with Splinter teaching him martial arts, teaching him martial arts out of a book, I thought that was a bit ridiculous. I still like the old way better. Granted, I'm not saying he should copy Hamato Yoshi's movements, but I just think learning martial arts, or maybe even just knowing it, or something, anything would have been better than, like, the way they did it with this, with finding the book. The book, it never really sold me. That's like saying, hey, I'm going to find a book on painting, and now I'm going to become a good painter. You don't just become something like that just by reading a book and looking up some moves. So, I don't know, man. That just did not click with me for some reason. I don't know. It just didn't make much sense to me. Granted, I don't think watching movements and doing them is much better, but hey, just my opinion. But then you end up finding Shredder in the movie, who people thought was William Fichtner's character, Eric Sachs, that he was going to be Shredder, so they were going to have a white Shredder. And that wasn't the case. There's a Japanese guy in the movie. Well, I assume he's Japanese. You can't really see him. He's kind of shadowed up, and he looks kind of old. Yeah, he seems to look old. You can just, like, see what little bit in the light. He looks kind of roughed up. I thought it was cool when he started speaking Japanese, but I didn't care for when he spoke English, because it was just, like, random times. It's like, why are you speaking Japanese if you're going to speak some sentences in English? You know, and it's not just because the guy has trouble speaking English. It's just, like, he just had random things to say in English. I never really understood that. You know, I would have just preferred him speaking in Japanese. Like, if he was in the Shredder suit and they were to, you know, give some reason like, oh, well, because he's like a robot or a mech or whatever, like, maybe he has a translator built into his suit to speak English. That would have made sense to me. And then have the guy speak English. But, again, it wasn't a big deal. I'd say that's still nitpicking. The look of the turtles, again, I don't particularly care for it as much as I would, say, the old style, but it never bothered me. It never did. And like I said, when I talked about that video earlier, I said I was going to be honest. No matter if the movie was good or if it sucks, I was going to give my opinion on it. And I am in the minority, I think, that actually enjoyed the movie. I said it. I enjoyed it. I was entertained by the movie. Does that mean I think it has a good origin story? No. It's definitely a different origin story, but I still prefer the old origin story better. And just a lot of other things that were... There were things that were good and fun and interesting, and things that weren't so good, like the origin story. Like the fact that Shredder's speaking English and then he's speaking Japanese. Granted, you want to have him speak English during the fights or whatever, okay, that makes sense. And just say, oh, he's got like a translator built into his suit or something. I guess Shredder being kind of like a robot mech thing, that kind of bothered me a little bit. You know, I didn't think he really needed to be like a cybernetic kind of ninja sort of thing. You know, and that's what it seemed like. Maybe it wasn't like that, but it seemed like that to me. Shredder is CGI in the movie. You may or may not like that, but it is what it is. And the turtles are obviously CGI, but I don't think some people knew if Shredder was going to be CGI. He may have had like CGI things, like enhancements, kind of like Spider-Man, you know. Spider-Man wasn't all CG. There was a guy in the suit. And then there were scenes with Spider-Man being CG. Same deal with this. People might have thought that, but no, it's pretty much when he's in the Shredder suit, he is like CGI, like the whole time. And when he's out of it, he's a shadowed sort of disfigured old guy. He's not mentioned as Oroku Saki in the movie. He's just called Shredder. There's that Karai girl who's some kind of Asian, like, leader, I guess, of the Foot Clan. She's kind of like a female Tatsu kind of character. Sort of a Shredder's right-hand man sort of thing, or woman. I'm not really sure what she represents as far as the comics. I do know she's a comic character. There are people who knew of the character. Like, the little kid said, hey, look, that's Karai. And I'm like, is she in the 2012 cartoon? Because I found it kind of weird that these little kids knew who that character was. So, again, I don't know. Because I don't watch the 2012 cartoon. But, again, it is what it is. But yeah, I found the movie to be very enjoyable. It had action scenes that were very, very entertaining. Had this not been Ninja Turtles, and had this been another kind of movie that was like... Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's just say this movie was Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, same character, same everything, big hulking turtles, or let's just say they're not turtles. Let's just say they're big hulking reptiles. Okay, let's just imagine they're the same characters, but without the shells, and they're just big hulking reptiles. They're not a rip-off of Ninja Turtles. Let's pretend Ninja Turtles doesn't exist, that they're not ripping them off. Let's just pretend it's just another superhero movie. That is what you're getting with this movie. And again, if you don't like the movie, that's fine. If you do like the movie, that's fine. I don't have a problem with anyone liking or disliking the movie. But what I don't like is when people who are disliking the movie, they're not even giving good reasons as to why they don't like it. They're just saying everything to bash it because Michael Bay produced it. So like, oh, the CGI looks like crap when it obviously doesn't. Granted, you may not like the CGI. There's a difference in not liking the CGI and the fact that the turtles are CGI and saying it's just bad CGI. It's not really bad CGI at all. I can't say I'm the best judge of CGI because from what I understand, CGI, good CGI is when, okay, I can't tell if that's practical or if that was done by a computer. I can't tell if that's real or done by a computer. But with Ninja Turtles, you know it's going to be computer animated. So then it's just based on, okay, how good does it look? And I think it looks great. I can't say that the Turtles' look is great. It's not really my thing. I didn't harp on that while I was watching the movie. I didn't let that get to me and say, oh, look at how horrible they look. Because I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't find myself dwelling on it. I just went in there, went into the movie theater with an open mind, said, okay, I'm going in to watch an entertaining movie. And at the end of the day, that's what I got. I got humorous stuff out of the movie. I thought the voice cast worked. The voice cast I thought was going to be really bad. Because I personally don't care for the voice cast of the 2012 cartoon. And really the only voice cast I really enjoyed was from the movies, from the older movies. You know, from Ninja Turtles 1, or I should just say, just from Ninja Turtles 2. Because I didn't care for Corey Feldman as Donatello. You know, I didn't hate his voice, but I didn't like the way his character is written. So I kind of put that in the same boat and just say, I just don't care for Corey Feldman. I don't think his voice is bad, but I thought the guy from Ninja Turtles 2 was better. I thought he was better written, and I just thought the voice was better. I like the Donatello voice in this. I like the fact that Donatello he's not a carbon copy of Michelangelo like in the first movie. Granted, that's about the only complaint I have with the 1990 film. I'm not saying this is better than the 1990 film. I still think the 1990 film is better. I do. People have asked me, where do I rate this? Well, I haven't seen the 2007 movie all the way through, so I can't judge that yet. As of right now, I think this ties with Ninja Turtles 2, possibly even better than Ninja Turtles 2, because really the only thing I liked about Ninja Turtles 2 was the voice cast and the suits. I thought the movie was kind of pointless. There were no weapons. Shredder has no point in the movie other than coming back and just being like, hey, I'm Shredder. But he's not really doing anything. He doesn't fight once. He's just there, and he has Toka and Razor attack stuff. And Tatsu, I think, may do something. You know, in the Foot Ninjas. But he never actually fights. And that's the other thing I wanted to get into. The Shredder and Splinter... Well, the Shredder fights in general. There's one with Splinter. I guess there's three. There's one with Splinter, one with Raph, and then one with all the turtles. And when it's with Raph, he just basically gets, you know, the crap kicked out of him. When it's Splinter, it was kind of like the Yoda and Count Dooku fight from Episode 2, Star Wars Episode 2. It was really cool to see Splinter fighting. Again, I don't like the look of Splinter in this movie. But what I did like was the fact that Splinter actually did stuff. You know, he would do stuff with his tail. You know, whenever he was punishing the turtles, he did that. They did some odes to the original movie, which I like, and nobody seems to talk about that. When they did the pizza slice thing, and this pizza slice falls on him, you know, it's obviously classic from the 90s film. There was another thing, but I can't remember it. I do know I said, oh, hey, that was also from the 90s film. But I can't remember what it was right now. And even last night, I was trying to remember it. On the way home, I was trying to construct the way I was going to do the video. And I just couldn't think of it. I forgot. This movie is going to take more than I would say one viewing. But from my initial viewing and from, I guess, the hype, I enjoyed it. And I can't say there was hype in me to go see this movie. Like, oh, I was so hyped. I've been hyped for years to see this. No, it was literally like, I saw the trailer. It looked entertaining. I want to give it a chance because everybody's hating on it. And I'd like to give it a chance. And I thought it was entertaining. There's a lot of people that are going to this movie and surprised. I know there's a lot of people who are saying they were interested in the movie and they're doing a 180. Granted, if you didn't like the movie, that's fine. But there are some people doing the 180 because they don't want the backlash. They don't want the backlash from, oh, if they actually said they liked it. They don't want to hear it. So they're just like, oh, well, I don't like this movie. Or they'll go real over the top. This movie was so bad. I went into it with low expectations, and it lowered them. This movie is not that bad. I'm sorry. You can dislike Michael Bay, or dislike the look of the Turtles, or dislike whatever. This movie is not that bad. This movie is not Ninja Turtles 3 bad. I would watch this any day of the week over Ninja Turtles 3. And that's the truth. And I'm not afraid to admit it. Granted, I think it takes a little bit of balls to say, oh, I like it better than Ninja Turtles 2. I can't say I like it better than Ninja Turtles 2. I pretty much like them the same, because there's a lot of things about Ninja Turtles 2 I like, and very little I dislike. There's a good amount of stuff I liked with this 2014 movie. But again, I think it's a bad I think as far as, if you have Ninja Turtles and you're trying to say that this is a good adaptation, I don't think it's a good adaptation. I'm not saying it's a good adaptation. I'm just saying it's an entertaining movie. And as far as entertainment value goes, it kept my interest and it was entertaining. The CGI looked good. The fight scenes are pretty good. They were fun. The action scenes are memorable. The exploding skyscraper thing, and then they, swing April over, that was really cool. And I'm not really spoiling anything. I'm just talking about some of the action scenes. Just like in the trailer when they're sliding down that mountain, that looks really cool. People were like, oh, they're Hulk turtles. They're Hulk turtles. Granted, I think they're a little overpowered, but it's meant to be like a superhero movie because, again, that's what sells. If we were to make 1987 Ninja Turtles back in the day serious, not a lot of people would watch it. Not a lot of kids would watch it. Granted, your adult self is telling you, I'd watch it. Yeah, I'd watch it. But you gotta be honest. As a kid, you probably weren't gonna watch it. And it sold better. And, let's just be honest. It's more marketable to make it towards kids. And that's why the 87 cartoon's so popular. And the comics aren't popular. The comics have a fan base. The comics, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're not good. But they're not, like, mainstream popular. They're there. They're popular to the hardcore source material kind of fans. Real hardcore, big hardcore Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans like the comics. And I think the comics look cool. But you can't seriously sit there and say they're just as mainstream as the 87 cartoon. Because they're not. And had it not been, again, I've said this before, had it not been for, like, the 87 cartoon and all that, your franchise wouldn't have enough money to sustain at least new comics. Because people know the Ninja Turtles because of that 87's cartoon. If it were not that, it would literally just be a parody on comics at the time. Because literally it was a joke. The Ninja Turtles were always kind of a joke of a thing. They were made, to be a parody of superheroes. That's why it's such a ridiculous name. What's the names we can come up with? And Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, they're coming up with names, and then, oh, let's have, I think they had a different idea, but then they came up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh, that's funny. And then I think they worked at McDonald's or something at the time. I think they asked someone for a tax refund or some money or something from a tax refund, and they put that in there and made Ninja Turtles, and it became a big success with the 87 cartoon. And was its own thing in the comics, from what I understand. But this is a reboot. This is not Ninja Turtles 5. This is not Ninja Turtles 4, sequeling to the 90s movies. This is its own thing. And if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. I found it entertaining. I did. Am I going to pick it up on Blu-ray? I might. I thought it was entertaining. I may give it a rental first. I don't know. Before I actually buy it, just to say, okay, maybe that was just hype. Here it is 3 months later, 4 months later. Let's see what it was like now. Let's see what it's like now when there's no hype for it. You know, but I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed the movie. I really haven't spoiled anything, which I'm surprised. And I'm not going to spoil it. If you want to go see the movie, I think you should go see the movie. I wouldn't listen to all the hype of everyone saying, oh, it's horrible, it's this, it's that. Go into it with an open mind. If you dislike it at the end of the day, even after seeing that, then okay. But you should still give it a chance. I know people on Facebook that didn't like it. They went to see it and they didn't like it. They legitimately didn't like it. I can understand if you're wanting to expect something better. That's a legitimate complaint. But there are some of these people out there who every little thing that ever came out for this movie, they would bash. Whether it be, granted the looks of the turtles is understandable, but like even something down to Vanilla Ice's rap was better than the Juicy J rap. Like, it was just that much better. And they were just saying that just because it was associated with this movie. Had it been like Iron Man or Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, they wouldn't even shake a stick at the rap. They would just look the other way because they're not interested in rap. But because they can use this as ammunition to fire against this movie, that's how they are, you know. Again, I like listening to the logical fans who don't like the movie. The people who are like, I think the turtles look like crap. I think, you know, all this other stuff that I was saying earlier. But they're not being like a fanboy about it. Making all these little comparisons that really don't mean anything. Or say, like I said, about the rap and all that other stuff. It just, it's getting to where you're just grabbing for straws at that point. But anyway, I think I've explained long enough. I like the action scenes, the fight scenes. There's one with Shredder, and when Shredder fights... Oh, I think I didn't mention this. This is another thing I wanted to say. Remember how in Ninja Turtles 2, you saw Super Shredder, and then they never got to fight him, and you were so disappointed that you never got to see that? And how everyone was complaining in this movie that Shredder looks too OP and too huge and all this other stuff, and too ridiculous and too many blades. Granted, I think the blades are a little bit overkill, but when you see the fight, it is literally that Super Shredder fight you wanted to see, you know, however many years ago. 23 years ago. Or however long ago it was. Back in 91. 23, I think, is what it would be. 23 years ago. That fight scene you wanted to see 23 years ago, you see it in this movie. It's cool. Shredder and Splinter fight is pretty good. I don't like the look of Splinter, but I think it's a good fight. I think the fight between him and the Turtles is great. I think the one with Shredder and Raph is pretty lackluster. And some of the other generic fights are just like, you know, they're just okay. They're not really that memorable. But, yeah, the Turtles act like they're supposed to. You know, Donnie has the smarts and stuff, so he's, you know, what didn't he rig? He hacked into a computer, I think, or something. He was using some kind of old version, some kind of old programming language or something, and he was trying to like hack into a computer, and he got it. Leo kind of acts like the leader. Leo, I don't think, had too many lines from what I remember. I think the people who have the most lines, or the most memorable lines, are like Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Leonardo really didn't have much to say, which is why I think out of all the characters, he had kind of a last minute, oh, Johnny Knoxville is Leonardo. Or maybe that was just an announcement thing, but I think that's why it's a little different. He didn't have as many lines. It didn't seem like that anyway. Let's see here. The lines I thought were fine. Oh, I want to talk about some of the complaints I had, other than, you know, the look of the turtles. I wish they kind of looked like the old ones, but it didn't bother me. It really didn't. The lips, I never really noticed it. Yeah, Mikey looks ridiculous. He looks like a Shrek baby, or Shrek's brother. But that never bothered me that much in this movie. It really didn't. I was so entertained by the dialogue and everything. Granted, there was some stuff that was bad. I think the shell tightening, the boner joke or whatever, was retarded. It didn't need to be in the movie. The fart thing, I actually laughed, and I don't normally laugh at fart jokes. But they get stuck in this sewer pipe. They're all trying to go down it. And I was like, wow, this looks like a fun scene. And then they get stuck. I'm like, oh, what are they going to do when they're stuck? And then all of a sudden the fart joke came out of nowhere. And I was like, pfft. He's like, Mikey, did you do that or whatever? And he's like, pepperoni. And I laughed. I didn't expect him to say that. You know, I expected the fart thing because of all the people that posted stuff about it on Facebook, almost everything was like, as far as the bad stuff, what you've seen on Facebook and or wherever you've seen it, as far as what the bad stuff you've heard, that's about all that's bad about the movie. You know, again, I'm not a fan of the look of the turtles, but it didn't bother me. The fart joke and the turtle, or the boner joke, again, we could have done without those, but, you know, I'm not going to hate on the movie for that. Those are very minor nitpicks. Overall, I was entertained. I went to the film to be entertained. And if I got falsely deceived, then I was going to be upset. But I wasn't. I wasn't falsely deceived. I was entertained. I know that's probably a hard concept for some people to wrap their mind around, and I'm not going to say some other things that I was going to say. I thought about saying them in this video. But if you honestly, I'm just going to tag this on here. If you think I wasted my money, you know, go ahead. Think what you want. I'm not going to say any more. There was something I was going to tack on, but I don't want to sound egotistical or sound like a douche. And, you know, it's not necessarily fair, and I was in this boat at one time, so I don't think it's right for me to say. But honestly, if I wanted to use it as ammunition, I would use it. But I'm not going to, because I was in this boat at one time. It's not fair to some people to say this, so I'm not going to say it. I thought about saying it, but I'm not going to say it. But if you think I wasted my money, go ahead. You keep thinking that. But at the end of the day, it's my money, not yours. You know. And you're you know, using all this hate, you're missing out on the movie. You know, you'll see it on a bootleg online or whatever. Fine, go ahead. It's nothing like a theater experience. It's just like if I were to have somebody, you know, put an Avatar, but then they're going to record it off, or better yet, they see Avatar on TV, and they record it on a VHS tape and say, here, go watch Avatar. And I'm supposed to be enthralled and really enjoy this movie for its effects and everything, because of the low quality. The soundtrack, at first, when I heard it, I wasn't really impressed, but it went well with the movie. The theme, granted, I don't think it's as catchy as the others, but it worked for what it was. And for the serious tone of the movie, it worked. PG-13. People want to say something about the PG-13 or ask questions. Why is it PG-13? Or is it really that hardcore? It's PG-13. PG-13 pretty much sold, like, the action scenes and everything in the CGI, like, sold me on really wanting to see it, but when I saw the commercial on TV say PG-13, because I thought this was PG. I didn't think it was going to be PG-13. The fact that it had a PG-13 rating made me think, holy crap, PG-13. It's going to be awesome. No ifs, ands, or buts, I'm going to go see it. But, honestly, I think the only reason it was PG-13 was it's crossed the line. There were a lot of lines that they crossed that I don't think they could have used for a PG movie. Like, it literally had to step over to PG-13. They did swear a couple times, which I liked. Not to say that if it didn't have swearing, like, I'd be upset or that it would be a bad movie. But they did swear a couple times, which I thought was, oh, hey, cool. But I'm not going to say that made the movie for me. And if it didn't have it, that it wouldn't have made the movie. It was just nice to hear. And all the characters are likable as far as the turtles go. You know, maybe you don't like Michelangelo because of his bad jokes. You know, understandable. But most of the characters felt like their character. Uh, you know, I think the only one that felt rushed was Leonardo, honestly. Again, I'm not a fan of the looks. I wish the looks were like the old ones, but the looks didn't kill it for me. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I soaked it in, took it for what it was. It was entertaining. A lot of people at the end of the theater cheered. They laughed when they were supposed to laugh. And it was a fun movie. I recommend you go see it. Give it one chance. If you don't like it after that, then hey, just like I said before, if I didn't like it after giving it one chance, hey, I don't have to invest in the sequels. I'm interested in seeing a sequel, and they do sequel bait ending at the end of this movie, so, you know, it does have ideas for a sequel. It's not just like, oh, maybe if it makes enough money, then we'll do one. I'm pretty sure it'll make enough money. I'd be really surprised if it doesn't. I don't think it's going to be like a Dragon Ball Evolution where it gets panned so hard. Granted, there's a good majority of the fans that don't like the movie. There are some people who are just going to fanboy against it. They're not even going to give it a chance. I respect all the people that gave it a chance. I can understand if you're a reasonable fan that doesn't want to give it a chance. Somebody who might have been interested, but as time went on, you know, the actor choices or the looks or whatever, you know, you didn't like it. Okay. Megan Fox is April O'Neil. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Megan Fox. You know, she's pretty, but, you know, as far as acting goes, a lot of people said she was good. I just thought she was okay. I didn't hate her, but I didn't, you know, I'd still take Paige Turco or Judith Hogue over April, or over Megan Fox as April. I didn't, you know, I definitely think they could have casted better for April, but for what it is, you know, it was okay. And I don't know if it's just me, or maybe it was the director or the writer or whoever, but it sure seemed like there were a lot of Megan Fox ass shots in this movie. Like, it seemed like they focused on her ass a lot for some reason. That's just me. I just happened to pick up on that, but it seemed like that. And I was just like, huh. So, again, it is what it is. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. Go see the movie. Give it a chance. And I will see you guys next time for whatever video I have. Peace.